My brother threw my daughter's birthday cake away, then begged me to save his wedding. Huge mistake. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need a quick favor. We've noticed that the channel is losing a bit of traction lately, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us out. It's quick, it's free, and it allows us to keep bringing you these incredible stories. Your support truly means everything to us, so let's keep this channel growing together. Thank you so much. Now, let's get right into the video. My name is Mia Reynolds, I'm 34 years old. And until that afternoon, I thought I knew exactly how much humiliation I could swallow for the sake of family. Then I walked into the back of a small restaurant, holding a stack of paper plates in one hand, and a lighter for my daughter's birthday candles in the other, and I saw her cake sitting upside down in the garbage. Pink frosting was smeared across the black trash bag. The little sugar butterflies she had picked herself were broken in half. Her name, carefully written in white icing, had been dragged through coffee grounds and napkins like it meant nothing. Behind me, the room went quiet, in that strange way people get quiet when they know something cruel just happened. But they are waiting to see who will be brave enough to say it out loud. My brother leaned against the counter with a grin that did not even pretend to be sorry. When I asked him what happened, he laughed and said, "Honestly, she wasn't worth wasting a cake on." My daughter stood beside me in her blue birthday dress, staring at the trash like she was trying to understand how a cake could disappear before anyone even sang for her. I did not scream. I did not throw a plate. I picked her up, felt her tiny arms lock around my neck, and walked out while everyone watched. The next morning, my mother called me crying. "Please call the venue," she begged. "They're about to cancel your brother's wedding." I looked at my daughter sleeping on the couch, her paper crown folded beside her, and said, "Sounds like his problem." Then I hung up. Before I tell you what he said next and what happened after I refused to save him, tell me, what time is it for you right now? Where are you watching from? And what's the weather like there? Does it match your mood today? I'm curious to see how far this story will travel. For most people, a birthday cake is just flour, sugar, frosting, and candles. For my daughter Ava, that cake was proof that she mattered. She had spent 3 weeks talking about it. Every night before bed, she asked if I thought the butterflies would be purple enough, if the letters would be neat enough, if people would clap when she blew out the candles. She was turning 8, and because money had been tight that year, I had saved little by little to make that party feel special. I was not trying to impress anyone. I was not trying to compete with anyone. I just wanted my daughter to have one afternoon where she felt chosen. That was why the sight of that cake in the garbage did something to me that I still cannot fully explain. It was not only the cake. It was the way my family froze. It was the way no one immediately bent down to pick up the box or tell Ava it was not her fault. It was the way my brother Mike looked at my child's ruined birthday and acted like he had done something clever. My mother Helen stood near the dessert table with one hand pressed to her mouth, but she did not correct him. She did not pull Ava into her arms. She looked at me like she was silently begging me not to make a scene. That had always been my job in the family. To keep the peace, swallow the insult, smooth the tablecloth over the crack in the wood, and pretend everything looked fine. Mike had always been the golden one. When we were kids, if he broke something, I was told to be patient because boys were rough. If he failed a class, he was under pressure. If he forgot Mother's Day, he was busy. If I did anything less than perfectly, I was dramatic, sensitive, or difficult. After my divorce, when I moved into a smaller apartment and started rebuilding my life as an event coordinator, my mother told me not to burden the family with my problems. But when Mike got engaged to Olivia and realized weddings cost more than attention, suddenly everyone expected me to help. I recommended vendors. I reviewed his contracts. I warned him that the venue required final payment 2 weeks before the wedding. I even used one of my professional contacts to get him a reduced rate on the ballroom, because despite everything, I still believed family should show up for family. That was before he threw my daughter's cake away. That was before he looked at Ava's face and decided her hurt was funny after we left the restaurant. Ava did not cry at first. That made it worse. She sat in the back seat holding her paper crown in both hands, looking out the window like she was trying to be older than she was. Halfway home, she whispered, "Did Uncle Mike throw it away because I did something bad?" I had to pull the car over. I turned around and told her as clearly as I could, "No, baby. You did nothing wrong. Sometimes grown-ups behave badly because they have ugly things inside them and they try to hand those ugly things to other people." Her lip trembled then, and she finally cried. I climbed into the back seat and held her while cars rushed past us. And I promised her we would have another cake. A better one. A cake nobody would touch unless she said so. But the whole time, a cold, quiet thought formed inside me. I had protected Mike from consequences for years. And in return, he had treated my child like trash. That night, after Ava fell asleep, my phone lit up with a text from Mike. It said, "Look, I'm sorry if you got emotional about the cake. Wedding stress is killing me. Let's move on." I stared at the words until they blurred. He was not sorry he hurt Ava. He was sorry I reacted. He was not asking forgiveness. He was telling me to reset the family machine so he could keep being the center of it. A minute later, another message came through. "Also, Mom said the venue might call you tomorrow. Please don't make this weird." I almost laughed because weird was apparently not a grown man throwing away a child's birthday cake. Weird was me refusing to pretend it did not happen. The next morning, my mother called before 8. Her voice was thin and panicked. "Mia, please listen to me. The venue says Mike's final payment never cleared. They need confirmation from you because your name is connected to the booking." I sat up straight. "My name is what?" She started crying harder. "He said you knew. He said you were helping with the wedding account. Please, honey, just call them. If they cancel, everyone will blame you." There it was. Not everyone will blame him for failing to pay. Not everyone will blame him for lying. Everyone will blame you. I told her no. She gasped like I had slapped her. "Mia, this is your brother's wedding." I looked at the hallway where Ava's birthday decorations were still folded in a grocery bag because I could not bring myself to throw them away. And yesterday was my daughter's birthday. I said he made his choice. Now I'm making mine. I hung up, but my hands were shaking. Then my email notification chimed. The subject line read, "Final notice regarding Reynolds' Heart wedding reservation." And underneath it in bold letters were 3 words that made my stomach drop. Guarantor's signature required. I opened the email twice because the first time my brain refused to accept what my eyes were reading. The venue was not simply asking me to help. According to their records, my professional account had been used to secure Mike and Olivia's wedding reservation. My business name, Mia Reynolds Events, was listed as the coordinating party. My old office number was attached. My email was listed as the secondary contact. And the worst part was a scanned copy of a form that looked from a distance like it had my signature on it. It was not my signature. It was close enough to make my stomach twist, but wrong enough to make me furious. The line was too sharp, the loop and the R too stiff. The last name rushed like someone had copied it while irritated. I knew immediately what had happened. Mike had taken the sample documents I sent him months earlier, the ones I marked up so he could understand venue terms, and he had decided that my advice was the same thing as my permission. Or worse, he had known exactly what he was doing, and assumed I would clean up the mess before anyone noticed. I called the venue and asked for Elise, the manager I'd worked with before. She sounded relieved when she heard my voice, which told me Mike had already been difficult. "Mia, I'm glad you called," she said. "We've been trying to confirm whether your company is still guaranteeing the final balance." My mouth went dry. My company never guaranteed anything. I recommended the venue, reviewed their contract as a favor, and introduced them to your sales office. That's it. There was a pause, paper shuffled. "The form we have says otherwise. Then the form is false," I said. My voice was steady, but my heart was hammering. Elise softened immediately. She had known me for years. She knew I was careful, almost annoyingly careful with contracts. "Send me a written statement," she said. "If your signature was used without authorization, we can remove your company from the reservation. But once we do that, the couple must pay the full outstanding amount by 5 p.m. today, or the ballroom is released." I looked at the clock. It was 9:12 in the morning. Mike had less than 8 hours to fix a problem he had created. And for once, my name was not going to be the rope he climbed out with. Before I could draft the statement, my phone exploded. My mother called 3 times. Mike called twice. An aunt I barely spoke to texted, "Your mother says you're destroying the wedding. Is that true?" Then another message from Mike appeared. "Do not talk to the venue until you talk to me." I read it slowly. "Not please. Not I'm sorry. Not... I used your name and need to explain just in order. The old Mia would have panicked. The old Mia would have called him, listened to excuses, and maybe even tried to negotiate a payment plan with Elise so the wedding could survive, and everyone could keep pretending Mike was unlucky instead of irresponsible. But that morning Ava walked into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes, saw my face, and asked, "Is Uncle Mike mad at you because of me?" That question cut through every old habit I had. I closed my laptop, knelt in front of her, and took both her hands. "No," I said. "He is mad because I am not letting him hurt us and then use us." She nodded, but I could tell she was trying to carry guilt that did not belong to her. That was when I knew I could not soften this. Not this time. I sent Elise a formal email stating that I had not signed, authorized, guaranteed, coordinated, financed, or accepted liability for Mike's wedding. I attached copies of my real signature from past contracts. The original email where I had only introduced Mike as a private family referral, and a clear statement that any use of my business name must be removed immediately. My finger hovered over the send button for a long second. It felt dramatic, final, almost cruel. Then I remembered Ava staring at her cake in the trash. I pressed send. 5 minutes later, Elise replied, "Received. We will proceed accordingly." That was it. No thunder, no shouting, just a professional boundary written in black and white. Mike called again. This time I answered. He did not say hello. He said, "What did you do?" I leaned against the counter. I told the truth. He let out a sharp laugh. "You mean you threw a tantrum because of a cake and now you're trying to ruin my wedding?" "No, I said you used my business name without permission and I removed it." He went quiet for half a second, just long enough for me to hear fear under his anger. Then he snapped. "You were supposed to help. That was the whole point of asking you to look at the contract. Looking at a contract is not the same as becoming your safety net." "Oh, come on," he said. "You always fix things. Don't act brand new now." That sentence told me more than any apology could have. He had not accidentally expected my help. He had built his entire plan around it. Then he said the thing that changed everything. "If you don't call Elise and put your name back on that account, I'll tell everyone you're jealous because Olivia's getting the wedding you never had." For a moment I was so stunned I could not speak. My divorce had been one of the most painful seasons of my life. And he knew that. He knew how hard I fought to give Ava stability after her father left. He knew exactly where to press. But instead of breaking, something inside me settled. I said, "Mike, yesterday you threw away my daughter's birthday cake. Today you threaten me because I won't cover your lie. Keep talking because every word is making my decision easier." He cursed under his breath. "You're choosing a kid's feelings over your brother's future." I looked toward Ava, who was sitting at the table drawing butterflies on a blank paper plate. "Yes," I said every single time. Then I ended the call. By noon, the family group chat had become a courtroom where I was both the accused and the only person not invited to defend myself. Mike wrote, "Mia is refusing to help because she wants attention." My mother wrote, "Please, everyone, pray she softens her heart." A cousin asked, "What happened?" Mike replied, "She's mad about dessert, that's literally it." Dessert? That was what he called my daughter's humiliation. I did not respond immediately. I took screenshots. I saved voicemails. I printed the venue email, not because I wanted to destroy him, but because I had learned something from years of being the family fixer. When entitled people lose control, they rewrite history fast. And this time, I was not going to let Mike write mine. At 3:47 p.m., Mike showed up at my apartment. I saw him through the peephole, pacing in the hallway in a wrinkled dress shirt, phone pressed to his ear, face red with panic. Behind him stood my mother holding a tissue like she was already attending a funeral. I did not open the door until I had sent Ava to her room with headphones and a movie. When I finally unlocked it, Mike pushed forward like he expected to walk right in. I stepped into the doorway and blocked him. That alone seemed to offend him. "We need to talk," he said. "No," I replied. "You need to talk. I need to decide whether listening is worth my time." My mother flinched. Mike's jaw tightened. "Are you serious right now?" "Very." He looked past me into the apartment. Maybe searching for Ava. Maybe searching for evidence that I was weaker at home. I moved slightly so he could not see inside. "Say what you came to say." He started with the performance version. "Mia, I'm sorry about the cake." "Fine." "I should not have said what I said, but you have to understand I'm under insane pressure. The wedding is in 3 days. Olivia's family is asking questions. The venue is threatening to release the ballroom. This is not the time to punish me." My mother nodded quickly, desperate to turn his speech into a solution. "See, honey, he apologized." I looked at her. "He apologized because the venue gave him a deadline." Mike threw up his hands. "What do you want from me? Do you want me to get on my knees?" It was a cake. There it was again. The truth under the performance. I felt my face go calm. The kind of calm that scared me because it meant I had moved past needing him to understand. "Tell me why you threw it away," I said. His eyes darted to my mother. It was in the way of what the dessert table at my daughter's birthday party. He scoffed it was supposed to be a family lunch, too. Olivia's parents were there. We were discussing wedding details, and you made the whole afternoon about Ava. I stared at him. My mother looked down. That was the missing piece. He had not tossed the cake because it was damaged or misplaced. He had tossed it because Ava's birthday interrupted the wedding spotlight he believed belonged to him. It was her birthday, I said for 2 hours. Yes. The afternoon was about her. Mike rolled his eyes. She's 8. She would have forgotten by next week if you didn't make it a trauma. I felt the words hit me, but they did not knock me down. They clarified him. You looked at a child's joy and saw competition. His face hardened. Don't twist it. I don't have to twist it. You're explaining it perfectly. My mother reached for my arm, but I stepped back. Mia, please. I know he was wrong, but don't let one mistake ruin his life. I almost laughed. One mistake. The fake signature, the unpaid venue, the threats, the public lies, the cake in the garbage, the insult to Ava. Somehow, when Mike hurt people, every action was reduced to one mistake. When I set a boundary, it became a lifeline, not a betrayal. Mom, I said quietly, when he threw away Ava's cake, you stood there. When he insulted her, you stood there. When he used my company name, you called me to fix it. Do you understand what you are asking me to teach my daughter? Her eyes filled with tears. I'm asking you to keep the family together. No, I said, you're asking me to keep Mike comfortable. Mike stepped closer. Enough. Call Elise. Tell her the signature issue was a misunderstanding. Put your company back on the account until Monday. I'll pay you back after the honeymoon. I blinked. You want me to risk my business, my credit, and my reputation so you can have a ballroom you didn't pay for? You're making it sound worse than it is because it is worse than you want to admit. He lowered his voice. You owe me. That stunned me more than his anger. For what? For being your brother. For all the years Mom had to worry about you after your divorce. For all the times the family had to listen to your problems. My mother whispered, Mike, stop. But he was already too far gone. You act like Ava is the only kid in the world. She needs to learn she's not special. The hallway went silent. Even he seemed to realize he had said the quiet part out loud. I opened the door wider, not to let him in but to make the exit clear. Leave. He laughed bitterly. So that's it. You're choosing her over us. I looked him straight in the eye. There is no us that requires me to sacrifice my child. He pointed at me. Then don't come to the wedding. I wasn't planning to attend a celebration built on fraud and cruelty. His face twisted. You'll regret this. I shook my head. No, Mike. For the first time, I don't think I will. He turned away, dragging my mother with him. But before the elevator doors closed, he shouted, When this wedding gets canceled, everyone will know it was because of you. I closed the door, locked it, and stood there with my back against it until my breathing slowed. A few minutes later, Ava came out of her room. Her headphones were around her neck. I did not know how much she had heard. She walked over and slipped her hand into mine. Mom, she asked softly. Am I special? I dropped to my knees so fast they hit the floor. Yes, I said, pulling her close. You are special. Not because you are better than anyone else, but because every child deserves to be loved, protected, and celebrated. She hugged me hard. That was the moment my anger turned into something cleaner. I no longer wanted revenge in the way people imagine it, screaming, destroying, making someone suffer for the sake of suffering. I wanted truth. I wanted consequences. I wanted my daughter to see that when someone tries to make you small, you do not shrink to keep them comfortable. You stand up even if your knees shake. And mine were shaking, but I was still standing. The next 24 hours were ugly, in the way family pressure can be ugly when it dresses itself up as concern. My aunt sent a voice message saying weddings were stressful and I should forgive. A cousin said Mike had always been immature, as if immaturity at 36 were a medical condition. My mother texted, Please don't make me choose between my children. I typed back, You already did, I'm just finally noticing. Then I put my phone on silent and made pancakes with Ava. She wanted chocolate chips in the shape of a smiley face. And for 20 minutes, the world was only batter, syrup, and her laughter. Around noon, Olivia called me. I almost did not answer. She had always been polite, but distant, the kind of woman who smiled at family dinners and watched more than she spoke. When I picked up, her voice was quiet. Mia, can I ask you something directly? I braced myself. Yes. Did Mike use your business name without permission? Yes. She inhaled slowly. And did he throw away AA's cake? Yes. Another pause. What exactly did he say? I lowered my voice and repeated it. Olivia was silent for several seconds. Then she said, He told me the cake was already ruined and you blamed him because you were upset about the wedding. Of course he did. Olivia, I have emails from the venue and screenshots from the family chat. I'm not trying to pull you into this, but you deserve to know what he created. Her voice trembled. Please send them. Sending those screenshots felt like crossing a line. But then I asked myself who had drawn that line and who benefited from it. Mike had already lied to her. Silence would not be kindness. It would be protection for the wrong person. So, I sent Olivia everything. The venue email, Elisa's confirmation, Mike's text telling me not to make things weird, his threat about my divorce, and the screenshot where he called Ava's birthday dessert drama. I added no commentary. The truth was ugly enough. An hour later, the family group chat changed. Olivia's older sister wrote, "Why is Mia's company listed on the contract if she didn't agree?" No one answered. Then Olivia's father wrote, "We were told Mia was handling payment security as a professional courtesy." My mother responded, "This is a private family matter." Olivia replied, "It became my family's matter when Mike lied to us about the venue." I stared at that message for a long time. For years I had pushed against the wall alone. Suddenly, someone was pushing from the other side. Mike called me 15 times. I did not answer. He texted, "You had no right sending Olivia anything." I replied, "You had no right using my name." He wrote, "You're destroying my relationship." I wrote, "No. I'm refusing to help you hide what you did." Then I blocked him for the rest of the day. That evening I held Ava's replacement birthday party in our apartment. It was small. Catherine came with a homemade banner. 2 of Ava's classmates brought glittery gift bags. Our elderly neighbor brought cookies and pretended not to notice when I cried during the birthday song. The cake was smaller than the first one, but perfect. Vanilla, strawberry filling, purple butterflies, and Ava's name across the top. Before we lit the candles, Ava touched my arm and whispered, "Can we take a picture first, just in case?" My heart cracked, just in case. That was what Mike had given her. The fear that joy could be snatched away without warning. I knelt beside her and said, "Yes, baby, but nobody is throwing this one away." After she blew out her candles, she looked happier than she had in days. But I could still see the bruise Mike had left on her confidence. When everyone left, Ava asked if Uncle Mike was still getting married. I told her I did not know. She asked if it was my fault if he did not. I sat beside her and said, "When someone makes bad choices, the consequences belong to them. Other people may get upset, but that does not make it your fault, and it does not make it mine." She thought about it. "So, if someone is mean and then sad later, I don't have to fix it." I kissed her forehead. "Exactly." Late that night, Olivia texted again. "The venue gave Mike until tomorrow morning. My parents won't cover the balance unless he explains the false guarantor form. He says you promised to sign and backed out. Can you come to the venue tomorrow and tell everyone the truth in person?" Going there felt like walking into a storm on purpose, but staying home would let Mike perform and twist the story again. I typed, "I'll come, but I'm not saving the wedding." Olivia replied, "I'm not asking you to." That was when I understood Mike's mistake. He thought the danger was that I would refuse to help him. He had not considered what would happen when people started asking why he needed saving. The venue lobby looked different when I walked in without a clipboard, headset, or the old instinct to fix everything. I had coordinated events there before and knew the rhythm of panic. Florists rushing through side doors, nervous groomsmen, mothers asking impossible questions about napkins. But that morning the panic was sharper. Mike stood near the reception desk in a navy suit he had clearly worn to look responsible. My mother sat on a velvet bench with red eyes. Olivia stood beside her parents, arms crossed, pale but composed. Elise waited behind the desk with a folder in front of her, professional and calm in the way people become when the rules will not bend. The moment Mike saw me, he moved fast. Finally he hissed, "Tell them this is a misunderstanding." I stopped before he got close. "It is not." His eyes flicked toward Olivia. "Mia, I swear if you embarrass me, you embarrassed yourself when you forged my involvement." Olivia's father stepped forward. "Forged." Mike spun around. "She's exaggerating. She agreed to help, then got mad about a cake, and now she's weaponizing paperwork." I opened my bag, took out a folder, and handed copies to Elise and Olivia. These are the emails where I introduced Mike to the venue. I never agreed to coordinate, guarantee, finance, or sign anything. These are samples of my real signature. And this is the form the venue received. Elise nodded. "For the record, Mia Reynolds has denied authorization. Her company has been removed from liability. The remaining balance is due from the couple directly." Mike laughed, but it sounded thin. "This is insane. We can pay after the wedding. The gifts alone will cover." Olivia turned to him. "You plan to pay the venue with wedding gifts?" He froze. Her mother gasped. "Not all of it," he said. "Just some. Lots of people do that." Olivia's face changed. Not anger yet. Realization. Which was worse. "You told me the venue was fully handled. It was going to be by Mia." He looked at me with hatred. She offered. "No," I said. "I helped you read a contract. You turned that into access." Olivia's father asked Elise. How much is outstanding? Elise gave the number. The lobby went silent. Mike had not been short a little. He had built a wedding on money he did not have, trust he had not earned, and a sister he assumed would be too guilty to say no. My mother stood. Mia, please. If you can just temporarily put your name back, we'll figure it out after. I looked at her and saw how tired she was, but I also saw the pattern still alive in her eyes. She was not asking Mike to be honest. She was asking me to absorb the damage. Mom, if I sign, I become responsible, but family helps family. Then ask Mike why he did not help Ava when he hurt her. Her mouth trembled. This is bigger than a cake. I know, I said. That's why I'm here. Olivia looked at Mike. Did you throw away Ava's cake because you were angry her party was getting attention? Mike's face flushed. Oh my God! Not this again, answer me, it was a stupid cake. Olivia flinched. He kept going because men like Mike often mistake silence for permission. Everyone is acting like I committed a crime. She's a kid. She would have gotten over it. Mia made it a whole thing. Olivia's sister said quietly. That tells me everything. Mike pointed at her. Stay out of it. Olivia removed her engagement ring. She did not scream. She simply held it in her palm and looked at it like it had become unfamiliar. Mike, I asked you for honesty for months about money, about the venue, about why you were angry at Mia. You lied every time. Liv, don't do this here. Where should I do it? At the altar. My mother started crying. Mike's bravado cracked. Baby, please, we can fix this. Mia just needs to make one call. Every eye turned to me. The old script waited. Soften, rescue, pay, apologize for making people uncomfortable. I took a breath. No. Mike stared. Mia, no, I repeated. I will not call Elise as your coordinator. I will not guarantee your balance. I will not lie to Olivia. I will not teach my daughter that cruelty gets rewarded if the cruel person cries loudly enough. My voice shook, but the word had already landed. Elise closed the folder. Without payment, we cannot proceed with the event as contracted. The ballroom will be released at 5:00 p.m. Mike looked around wildly. So that's it, you're all just letting her ruin my wedding. Olivia's father answered calmly. No, son. You did that? Mike turned to my mother expecting rescue. She opened her mouth, then closed it. For once, she had no magic sentence that could turn his consequences into my obligation. Olivia walked to me before leaving. I'm sorry about Ava, she said, her voice breaking on my daughter's name. I should have asked more questions sooner. I nodded. I hope you ask them now. She looked at the ring in her hand. I am. Then she walked out with her parents. Mike followed her halfway, begging, but she did not stop. I stood in that beautiful lobby, surrounded by marble floors and dying wedding plans, feeling something I had not expected. Not joy, not satisfaction. Exactly. Relief. The kind that comes when a heavy door finally closes, and you realize you were never required to hold it open. By evening, the wedding was officially postponed. Though everyone knew that word was a kindness, the florist canceled. The band kept the deposit. Olivia's family requested a private conversation with hers, which was polite language for, we are taking our daughter home. Mike sent one final message from a new number because I had blocked the old one. It said, I hope you're happy. You cost me everything. I read it once and deleted it. Not because it did not hurt, but because I finally understood that Mike would rather lose everything than own anything. He lost the venue because he did not pay. He lost Olivia's trust because he lied. He lost my protection because he mistook love for weakness. I did not cost him everything. I only stopped paying the emotional bill. My mother came over 2 days later. I almost did not let her in, but Ava was at school and part of me needed to know whether she was coming to defend him or finally see me. She stood in my doorway holding Ava's paper crown. One of the servers had found it at the restaurant and given it to her. The crown was bent, but still blue. My mother held it like evidence. I should have picked her up, she said. I said nothing. She started crying, but this time her tears did not feel like a weapon. They felt like recognition arriving late. When he said that about her, I should have stopped him. I was so focused on keeping the day from exploding that I forgot who was being hurt. I wanted to forgive her immediately. That was another old instinct. Smooth it over. Make the crying stop. But forgiveness without change is just another chore handed to the wounded person. So I said, Ava needed a grandmother that day. I needed a mother. We both got a referee. She covered her mouth and nodded. I know. We talked for almost an hour. She admitted Mike had borrowed money from her twice for wedding expenses and told her not to mention it to Olivia. She admitted she had suspected he used my business name, but convinced herself I must have allowed it because believing otherwise meant admitting who he had become. You protected the version of him you wanted, I told her. and you left the real damage for me and Ava." She did not argue. Before leaving, she asked if she could apologize to Ava in person. I told her not yet, not because I wanted to punish her, but because Ava was not a place for adults to go when they wanted relief from guilt. My mother accepted that, and for the first time, she did not call me difficult. Mike never truly apologized. A week later, he left a voicemail saying, "I'm sorry things got out of hand, but you have to admit you went too far. I saved it, not because I planned to use it, but because sometimes you need a reminder when guilt tries to rewrite the past." Olivia later messaged me that she had ended the engagement. She thanked me for telling the truth and said she wished she had listened to the small warnings earlier, the unpaid bills he brushed off, the cruel jokes he called honesty, the way he treated kindness toward a child like an inconvenience. I wished her peace and meant it. None of us escaped untouched, but at least one more woman stepped out before the door locked behind her. As for Ava, healing came in small moments. She stopped asking if she had done something wrong. She taped a picture of her replacement cake above her desk. One night, while brushing her teeth, she said, "Mom, next year, can we have cupcakes instead so everyone gets their own?" I laughed for the first time in days. Absolutely. Then she added, "And only nice people can come." That sentence stayed with me. It sounded childish, but maybe it was the clearest boundary anyone in my family had ever spoken. People later asked if I felt guilty for not saving Mike's wedding. The honest answer is complicated. I felt sad my family had reached that point. I grieved the brother I used to defend, the mother I used to excuse, and the version of myself who believed love meant endless rescue. But guilt, no. Guilt belongs to people who betray their values. That day at the venue, I honored mine. I did not sabotage his wedding. I did not spread rumors. I simply removed my name from a lie, told the truth when asked, and refused to reward cruelty with protection. Mike's biggest mistake was not only throwing away the cake, though that was cruel enough. His biggest mistake was assuming the woman who had spent years holding the family together would keep doing it after he hurt her child. He thought I would be too afraid of being blamed, too conditioned by loyalty, too embarrassed by divorce, too desperate for approval. He forgot motherhood can change the shape of courage. I might have tolerated disrespect when it was aimed at me, but when he aimed it at Ava, he introduced me to a version of myself he had never met. Now, when I think about that cake in the garbage, I still feel anger. But I also feel gratitude for the moment it revealed everything. It showed me who laughed, who stayed silent, who lied, who asked questions, and who finally walked away. It taught me that some family bonds are not broken by boundaries. They are exposed by them. And it taught my daughter something I hope she carries forever. When someone throws away your joy, you do not climb into the trash to prove it had value. You walk away, protect your peace, and let them explain why they thought they had the right. So if you were in my place, what would you have done? Would you have saved the wedding for the sake of family? Or would you have let the truth cancel what lies had built?